I have been ranting at this camera for 45 minutes. I should start making outlines for videos because Hi friends, welcome back to another video. A slight change in scenery here. I got this super cute new chair. I hope you guys like it. I needed to feel like summertime in my apartment because the Seattle winters are dark and gray and cloudy and miserable and depressing. And I am a summer baby, okay? I come alive during the summertime. And I am like itching, literally fucking itching for it to be summer already. And I needed to feel something, so I bought this chair. And I think it fits the vibe. It's really cute. I like it. Anyways, as I mentioned in my last video, these next couple videos are going to be all for my undergraduate audience. So as you can tell from the title of today's video, this is going to be all about my own experience as an undergrad. It's a very long 4 years. I learned a lot. I met a lot of people. I did a lot. And I have some thoughts. So hopefully my undergrad experience will help you learn to navigate your own. I hope you're in for a bit of a story time, settle in, grab some tea. I've got mine. Let's get into the video. I started undergrad at the University of Oklahoma in the year of 2018. I was young and dumb. I still kind of am, and had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I simply picked majoring in astrophysics just cause I thought it sounded cool and I figured it would impress my parents. I knew nothing about physics going into it. I knew a little bit about astronomy, kinematics, couldn't tell you anything. Quantum mechanics, nothing. Electricity and magnetism, not a fucking clue. But we were gonna do it anyways, because why not? I always love a good challenge, so honestly, I was up for anything. Like I said, I was a very, very reckless kid. I still am, like, don't assume that I'm not. I just am more elegant about my recklessness these days. My first year of undergrad, I took no physics classes. Like when I tell y'all, I was trying to do everything except for study. I took most of my general education classes. So like, you know, English, and you take a biology class, a history class, humanities, things like that. Because I wasn't ready to actually face the fact I'm about to do something really hard. Also, I had left home. I moved out of state away from my family, my parents, so I could do whatever I wanted with like zero guidance. And I partied a lot. I'm not even gonna lie. I went to a lot of American football games. So I don't really have a lot to say about my first year. I literally don't remember doing any homework. The one homework assignment I remember doing was I was writing a paper. And I was writing the paper in the movie theater to go see Avengers Endgame because I'm like, listen, I know this assignment is due at midnight, but I'm gonna be watching a movie at midnight, so let me quickly write it in the car. Other than that, I couldn't tell you any other homework assignment I did. I didn't struggle with anything. It was so easy. I loved it. I hung out with my friends, partied, watched sports. It was great. So I would say when I actually started my astrophysics career was my second year of undergrad. And that's when I was faced with a real reality check because now I actually had to start taking my classes seriously. I was in like upper level calculus classes. I started taking physics classes and my God, it was really, really, really hard. I had no idea what I was doing, but I actually had to put in effort if I wanted to be successful at this. At the time, did I know I wanted to be successful at this? No, but I'm not a quitter. So I was like, all right, I guess I gotta do it. I guess I gotta be a physicist. Along the way, I learned some really, really, really hard truths. The first one being, and the most important one being, you have to find community where you can. I can say for a fact, I would not have been able to survive undergrad without my study group. It took a really long time to find them, but when I did, oh my God, I was so happy. I remember being in my very first physics class ever, and our first exam was coming up. I was so confused. I was left in the dark. I didn't want to talk to my professor. I didn't want to talk to the people next to me because I'm like, they're probably gonna think I'm stupid because I cannot solve a simple projectile motion question. And this is the very basic levels of physics. So I didn't want to approach anyone, nothing. So I decided one day I was going to feel really brave and I was going to ask my 2 lab partners if they wanted to study for the exam together, like over the weekend. You know, we meet at the library, hang out, get food. It'll be great. And I remember I asked them and they both kind of looked at me and just didn't say anything. And the one girl was like, she didn't say anything. And the one guy was like, I think I'm gonna study by myself. And I felt so terrible. Like, even though one of them gave me no response, but no response is a response, y'all. And I was like, shit, I'm on my own. I guess I'm gonna study by myself. It's fine. I failed the first exam. I had no idea what I was doing. I lacked confidence and I needed to make a change somehow. So I had to change up my study habits. I had to go talk to my professor and, you know, everything became fine. I started doing better. And I passed the class and it was wonderful, but when you continue through all of your physics classes, it gets significantly harder. Every single class builds off of the other. Our professors told us they purposefully made homeworks incredibly hard because they wanted to force us to work together. And at one point I was like, I can't do this by myself. What am I gonna do? Then one day, someone asked if I wanted to study with them. And I was like, great. And I went and there was a whole group of them together. And at first I was a little overwhelmed because it was a lot of us, but they literally changed my entire experience, like in undergrad. I would not have been able to survive without them. They know this. To the Astro kids, if any of you guys are watching this, I fucking love you. I would not be sitting here today. I would not be in grad school today without them. We literally held each other together at our lowest points, at our highest points. We studied together, we cried together, we laughed together, we ate. It was amazing. I think community is the most important aspect of honestly any career, but in undergrad, I found it very important. Building those connections early on and also building like collaborative skills is essential because you cannot do anything in physics, any kind of research at all without collaboration. I think that our physics classes almost like enforce us to believe that a lot of the field is pioneered by individuals because that's the way we learn it, right? We learn Einstein wrote his theory on relativity alone and won the Nobel alone. But in actuality, that's not the way that science is shared. That is also not the way that science continues to grow. I think it's good to start learning to do things in collaboration groups early on. In this day and age, that is how science gets done. There are huge collaboration groups, hundreds of people working on really big projects that propel physics and astronomy forward. And it can't be done with just one person alone. So what I'm saying to you is find a good group of people who are very, very welcoming, because there are the few who would rather do things individually, and that is a huge red flag. That's another thing. There were a lot of personalities that I learned about being in physics. It's mainly like the very elitist white men. Sorry, but it's the truth. You run into like the pretentious know-it-alls who swear up and down that they're gonna be the next Richard Feynman, the next Heisenberg, the next Niels Bohr. And I'm like, first of all, that is a red flag within itself, because those are some of the most problematic people. But then again, like, thank you for letting us know who the fuck we need to stay away from. That's the real tea. Those are the kind of people that they worry that people are gonna steal their ideas or they're gonna copy their homework or whatever. They like to work alone. I'm like, that's fine, whatever. It's okay. There are the ones who actually have personalities and are very welcoming, very warm and supportive. I truly don't think that there are the right words that I can string together to express how important it is to find those people. They want to see you succeed. They want to see you win. They're going to be there for you all of the time. You help each other. You learn from one another. Finding my physics friends was life-changing for me. It made my life so much easier. I was no longer nervous to approach homework or even going into exams. It was great. And we still talk to each other up to this day. Love them. So I would say that the biggest lesson that I learned from my sophomore year was easily building community. It's very important. If you take away nothing from this video, I hope it's that. Find your group. Going into my junior year or my third year of undergrad, I think that one was easily the worst year probably that I ever had in undergrad by far. Everything was difficult. I came across some weird professors, some weird classes, weird students. I made terrible grades. It was also a pandemic year, so I think everybody was struggling realistically. Overall, with classes in general, it was just very hard. Like, upper level physics classes are difficult. When you're taking upper level math classes at the same time, it makes it even more hard. So that's one thing that I will say I regret doing. I think early on, because I wanted to party, putting all of your general education or gen ed classes all in one year is not smart, because then it forces you to take all of your hard classes at the same time. Because listen, babe, you don't want to be taking statistical mechanics and quantum 2 and electricity and magnetism all at the same time. Why? That sounds like a nightmare. On top of that, you're probably taking like a linear algebra math class. No. Do not do that. I did that and it was terrible. And even worse, I think I was taking like 6 classes at the same time. It was a nightmare. I mean, no wonder I wasn't doing well. The good thing during my undergrad experience was for one of my classes, there was actually a tutoring option, which is very, very rare, I think, for physics classes. Any lower level math classes, there's usually tutoring options, at least at my university. But when it came to physics, there was no tutoring. So if you needed help, it was either you, hire a tutor, but that's not always as accessible financially for every single student. Or, you go have office hours. But office hours can be a little bit dicey, especially when the professor is sexist or racist, which in physics, honey, quite a few of them are. So if you were struggling, then it was like, you just kind of have to rely on self-study. But there was a tutoring option, which was really great. And it was a grad student that had tutoring weekly. Sometimes you just need to hear a concept reiterated by a different person, right? Because everyone has their own teaching style. Maybe the way that someone else explains it is completely different than the way that your professor explains it. I found that a lot of the time it was easier for me to connect to this grad student who was able to put things in very simple terms, whereas some faculty or like professors, they've been doing this for decades. So they just forget that they'll throw out jargon like synchrotron radiation. I'm like, babe, I don't know what the fuck that means. For me, I found it easier to connect with someone who is a grad student, and I was able to ask stupid questions. But there are no stupid questions. I want to reinforce that. Another thing that really helped me get through my classes, especially when I didn't understand concepts directly from my professors, was watching online lecture videos. You'd be really surprised how many online resources there are available for physics students. Khan Academy had some really good ones. There were some upper level physics classes that Khan Academy didn't include. But I would say for the lower and mid-level ones, they had some great videos. There were also lecture videos from international universities that were posted online as well. They have some really great teachers over there, y'all. I'm like, wow, should I have gone abroad for university? Because the way that they explain things was very clear. Sometimes the lecture slides would be posted on a PDF and there would be lecture notes. So if you're feeling like you don't understand something directly from your professor, definitely look online for help as well if there is no tutoring resources available or if you're too intimidated to talk to your professors. Ultimately, did I find classes to be very hard in undergrad? Yes, but I think it's supposed to be that way. It's not supposed to be unbearable. If it is, then it's probably an institutional problem because there are some faculty that just don't know how to teach and shouldn't be teachers. For example, for my math teacher that literally called me stupid in front of the entire class because I said the answer was x instead of x over 1. Are you kidding me? So yeah, there are just some teachers who are completely discouraging, or they'll straight up just tell you to drop the major, which do not drop the major. If it's something that you want to do and you want to put in all your time and effort into it, then do it. No one can stop you except for yourself. I also want to say that it's not the end of the world if you fail a class, for example, because I failed a class and I'm still here. I'm in grad school. It was totally fine, babe. It was no big deal. Does it suck to fail a class, especially when you've never failed a class before? Yes. but academia is all about learning. Everything is a learning experience. You can always retake the class later. Is it going to be really unfortunate to have to spend more money and time to retake a class? Yes, but I have learned that sometimes you really just need time to digest the information that you were given. In a semester, most of the time, the professors are just trying to teach you things as quickly as they can within the short time frame that they're given. You'd be surprised how much you remember even after like 2 months goes by. I don't know, I find myself that I start to piece concepts together after I really sit and digest it. And I'm not just like cramming information in my brain constantly. So for example, the class that I failed was differential equations. First of all, the teacher was really fucking bad. Let's start there. But second of all, whenever I retook the class, I was like, wait a minute, this concept that I found to be really difficult the first time around is actually so easy. Like I passed the class with like an almost perfect score. And I'm like, wait a minute, so why? I actually know what I'm doing. I just needed more time to think about it and apply it. It also helps when you use differential equations in your physics classes too. You can't know everything. And I think I get a lot of people in the comments that ask me like, oh my God, well, like, I don't know everything. I'm like, babe, I didn't know anything coming in here. And I still to this day don't know everything. I think if you leave university feeling like you know everything, your professors have failed you. Because there's so much in the world of science that we still don't know or understand. So it's fine that you leave feeling even more confused because your professors have just opened your mind up to the amount of possibilities that there are when it comes to physics. There's so many different layers to peel back and so many different concepts that are out there. So truly when you leave, you should feel a sense of like, whoa. I actually know nothing. What I learned is just such a small piece of the bigger picture that's out there. So it's great if you feel like you didn't learn anything because there's still so much more to learn. Another thing I want to say is that like nobody is dumb. There is not a single person on this planet that is dumb. You know? But then I think about the presidential administration. You are not dumb going into physics, okay? First of all, everyone can be taught how to do something. That is the purpose of going to university. You're going to learn, you're going to be taught. Give yourself a fair chance. Be easy on yourself. So as I transitioned from my 3rd year to my 4th year, I needed to figure out who I was going to work with for my senior thesis project. I knew that this was coming up, but the biggest issue for me was that I didn't have any research experience at the time. I also didn't know any of the faculty. And the way that you conduct your senior thesis project is you work one-on-one with the faculty on a certain project. The issue was like, you know, like I said, guys, I had just failed a class at this point. And I had no involvement. I wasn't even in the like physics club that was there or the astronomy club that our university had. I was not involved in anything. I went to class and I came home. That was it. Professors were very hesitant to let me into their research group. I just think it was very telling that the one woman of color that was in the department was the only person to let me into the research group. I would like to think that it's not because of racial implications or any kind of gender implications that I wasn't accepted, but it wouldn't surprise me. I heard that there was some crazy things going on in the department and I was shielded from a lot of it, but I don't know any details. If I did, I would spill. I would. Thankfully, I was let into a research group, and that's where I picked up some research skills. Now, this was my senior year, and I think I've reiterated in like multiple videos now. So if you don't know, please start research probably as early as you can, especially if you know that you want to pursue astrophysics in the long run as a full-time job in the career. Me, I didn't even really care. I was just doing this to prove a point to myself that I could, one, do this, and also to my high school teacher who thought it would be too ambitious for me to pursue astrophysics as a woman. But if you know for a fact that this is what you want to do, you should start applying for research opportunities. If you have no idea what that is or what I'm talking about, please go watch my last video on research opportunities for undergrads. I'll talk about everything there. I think in my senior year, I definitely learned which of the professors to trust and which of the professors not to trust. There is a stigma that astronomy or astrophysics professors are a lot more lenient and nicer than physics professors. I don't know why this is, but I have noticed it to be very, very true. For some odd reason, physics professors, majority of them are just fucking assholes. That's just what I've noticed. You know, like I don't know why it is, why all of them are very pretentious and elitist. I have no idea why. But in astronomy, I feel like we're all very nice, like easygoing, normal, kind of like on the spectrum, but normal. Whereas physicists are very hardcore. The people that I met when I was in my research seminar, when we were talking or when we were introducing our projects, it was, well, first of all, I was one of the like 3 girls out of the like 30 of us that were there. All of the men choosing to do research in physics were very, I don't know, they were all looking at each other sideways or like in competition. They're like, well, my project is on like discovering new physics in detectable dark matter. And I'm like, new physics? I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? And I felt so dumb because my project was like, I'm gonna be identifying dwarf galaxies. Which like, to me seemed very simple, but now that I'm a grad student here, I know it's not that easy because for a multitude of reasons, but that's not the purpose of this video. But like identifying dwarf galaxies is a very difficult thing. But I felt so bad because like all these men are walking around with their chest up like, yeah, I'm detecting new physics in like, I don't even know what they're doing is the crazy thing. And I remember going to my advisor and I was like, hey, like, you know, do you think my project is like okay as a senior project? Like, I don't know, everyone in the class is saying that they're discovering new physics by looking at dark matter and they're doing this condensed matter thing or particle accelerator stuff. And she was like, oh honey, that's what their advisors are doing. They're not detecting anything new. What kind of new physics is there that we don't know of? And I was like, okay, like I feel a lot better because I'm petty as fuck. Quite a few of them didn't get into grad school. Do with that information what you will, y'all. I think another thing is don't compare yourself because everyone's in different shoes, right? Everyone's doing different things. The only way that you can ruin your self-esteem is by comparing yourself to the person next to you, especially when you're not even in the same field. Like, why am I comparing myself and making myself feel bad about someone who's studying physics and I'm studying astrophysics? We're not even in the same domain. That was very intimidating, but it was great because I learned a lot of necessary research skills. Like I learned how to code in Python. I felt like a computer hacker. You know how people talk in movies like I'm just gonna easily crack into this firewall by the FBI, whatever. And it's me doing like a for loop or something. I'm like, wow, I'm so smart. Anyways, getting that experience was great. It's something that I use literally every day now as a grad student. I'm really grateful for that opportunity. How did I get here? Oh my God, yeah, we were talking about professors. Yeah, I definitely did learn that physics professors were very hardcore. I couldn't connect with the physicists the same way that I could with the astronomers. And maybe that's just like a sign that I'm in the place where I really need to be. For example, I went on this trip to New Mexico for an astronomy class. We were in New Mexico for like 4 or 5 days or something like that, getting to learn how to observe with a telescope. So we connected to the telescope remotely on our computers. We could put in the coordinates of like, all right, I want to observe this object and I want to enhance the exposure time to this amount of minutes. We went with a professor that was teaching the class, and I just know for a fact I would not have enjoyed that trip at all if I had gone with like my quantum mechanics professor. It just wouldn't have worked out. If anybody has any theories on why astronomers are more easygoing than the physicists, please let me know in the comments. Like, I'm curious to know y'all's theories. I just feel like the physicists maybe didn't take me seriously. Like sometimes I'd like to go to class a little bit dressed up, but not even really dressed up. Like God forbid I wear color. Or there was one day I walked into my research seminar class and I was wearing like this Barbie pink, like crop top and these like blue jeans with a couple rips in them. Maybe one was in a little bit of a scandalous place. And you know, there's a Playboy bunny logo on the butt pocket of the jeans. And for something like the topic of class that day was, I think it was like, what are some of your favorite hobbies? And like, if you chose to do something outside of physics, like what would it be? A career outside of physics, what would it be? And I was like, oh, you know, I like to travel, but like, I don't really know if that's a job. And I just remember the professor like looking at me up and down, and he was like, you know, maybe a model. What? I just remember being so thrown off by that. And I was like, no. It was just something that made me very uncomfortable in the moment. So I really don't think that the physicist took me seriously at all. And that's totally okay. Because like I said, for the first half, I was there to fuck around and that's it. I didn't take anything seriously until my senior year. The astronomers, like, they didn't care. They never really looked at me and thought anything of it. At least I don't think. They're like, oh, that's just okay. But ultimately, I do think that finding the right faculty will make your experience in undergrad a lot easier, because you can have someone who is in a position of power really to rely on. Someone that can be very influential to how the rest of your undergraduate career and beyond even goes. My undergrad advisor for my thesis put me in connection with people that I went to work with in New York, put me in connection with people that I work with here, and that's how I got here. Also, when I was struggling a bit with tuition, there were 2 astronomy professors that helped me out financially and helped me get a grant to help pay for my tuition. If something were to go wrong, let's say any kind of inappropriate behavior, kind of like racial or gender targeting, or any kind of terrible phobias that happen in academia, if there's someone in your corner in a position of power, it's going to be easier to navigate. I think of a lot of the responsibilities of doing something about it will fall off of you, and more so they'll take the lead on it. They'll know who to go to. They can shield you from terrible things that are going on in the department, which is great because you don't need any of that distracting you while you're already in a very rigorous environment, just trying to get through your academic studies. I understand for everyone that situation is different. Not everyone feels comfortable approaching a professor. So if you don't have a professor that you could see as a potential resource, then that's totally fine. Make sure that you do have a tight-knit community around you that you can ground yourself to. Like I said, it's very important to have a good support system, people that can pick you up when you're down, that can point you and lead you in the right direction to help you get the resources that you need. So ultimately, I think that is my graduate experience in a nutshell. I found good community. I found people not to talk to or not to trust. I learned how to study better ways to find resources online, how to get through and navigate classes best. It's different for every kind of person, but like I said, there are plenty of resources out there on the internet. I also learned that, you know, professors can be very, very useful and also not useful at all in terms of teaching style, in terms of how they can enhance your undergraduate experience, you know, as a whole. I also learned that it's totally okay to fail. It's totally okay to not know everything. That would defeat the whole purpose of going to university in the first place. I encourage anybody watching this video, if you have even the slightest interest of pursuing astrophysics, regardless of what kind of background that you had previous, give it a shot. You'll never know if you don't try. And I also urge that you give it a fair shot. Even when things seem very, very hard, still push through anyway. If you feel fulfilled and if you still feel that curiosity that lingers afterwards, continue, you know? That's the whole purpose. That's why all physicists get to where they are in the first place. Even when shit seems and feels impossible, they're like, okay, but like, what if? Sometimes asking the what if is good. Answering the what if is even better, you know? So definitely don't sell yourself short. You got this. If anyone else has any other questions or any comments, feel free to leave them down below. How is your undergrad experience going so far? Is there anything that I left out or you wanted more clarity on? Let me know. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.